Hello, students. Hope you guys are doing well. This is my second lecture about guided practice of Section A, Text A. If you recall from the previous lecture, we started with the passage, the mountain path, and we attempted two parts of question 1A and B. Today, we are going to talk about uh, the part C, right? I'm going to read the question first and then I'll read this relevant section here. From paragraph 2, identify two sounds that Sam hears in the forest. Now, here it's obvious that we are going to look for an explicit information. The forest ahead was darker than he had expected, the thick canopy of leaves blocking much of the sunlight. As he squinted into the shadows, he could barely make out the trail that supposedly led to the mountain peak. Around him, unfamiliar sounds filled the air, birds calling to each other with strange melodies, rustling in ways that seemed deliberate rather than caused by wind. The keyword is sound, and here we are looking for two sounds, right? So when you're reading, you just go to the with the help of the keyword, go to the relevant section, right? Around him, unfamiliar sounds. Fill the air, birds calling to each other. So the sounds of birds calling to each other, you can lift it up. And another thing which he heard was leaves rustling in ways. Now, always remember that when you have to lift information from here and there, you need to distill your answer, right? So it's not like that. You start, writing from around him. Unfamiliar sounds fill the air, birds calling to each other with strange melodies, leaves rustling in ways that seemed deliberately rather than caused by wind. If you copy down the whole chunk, uh, that would not be a good idea. It's better that you just focus on what you are supposed to lift, right? So here you are supposed to identify two sounds, right? So it's better that you reframe the answer instead of copying it. I don't mean to say that you have to use your own words. You can lift the keywords, but distill the information, right? That means you frame the answer in your own way rather than copying down the whole thing, right? Keep that thing in mind. आपका पूरा सवाल यहाँ से लेके आंसर यहाँ तक कॉपी नहीं करना है, बल्कि what you have to do, आपको लिफ्ट करना है कीवर्ड्स को जो कि आंसर के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है। तो यहाँ पे कौन से दो कीवर्ड्स इंपॉर्टेंट हैं? Birds calling to each other, right? This is the sound, and leaves rustling in waves. This is the sound. So you just have to pick out these two things, और थोड़ा आंसर खुद से फ्रेम करना होगा. So you can write it this way that the two sounds that Sam hears were or are birds calling to each other and leaves rustling in waves. That's all. Right? Instead of copying down from around till the wind. Okay. Explain what Sam is thinking when he mutters to himself. This is a mistake. Focus on uh, this sentence. This is a mistake. And of course, you have to recall the context also, what is happening in the passage. Right? आपको देखना होगा कि passage में हो क्या रहा है. शुरू से हम पढ़ रहे हैं, we can understand that he is having difficult time, right? Okay, so he's not comfortable here. Keep this information right in mind and then read it because this is an inferential question. Inferential questions के जो answers होते हैं, they are not explicitly stated. सामने लिखे हुए नहीं होते. It's a hidden information, right? So you need to, understand the context or keep the context in mind to answer these questions. So, for example, here it says this is a mistake. Now we need to think about why is it a mistake, and for that we have to read it again, right? Okay. Um, Let me read the relevant section here. Um, the forest. Let me erase the marks first because, of course, even I can't see that, right? Now here is the sentence, right? And when we are reading it, right, we see that uh, he's not comfortable, right? And the forest ahead was darker than he had expected. Thick canopy of leaves blocking much of sunlight. As he squinted into the shadows, he could barely make out the trail that supposedly led to the mountain peak. Around him, unfamiliar sounds, leaf rustling in ways that seemed deliberate rather than caused by wind. This is a mistake, muttered to himself, but he knew turning back was not an option. So when he's saying that this is a mistake, that means uh, he is not comfortable and he feels threatened, right? How do we know it's not comfortable? We know that he could barely make out the trail. We know that he had to squint into shadows, right? We know that it was quite darker ahead, and he hadn't expected the thick canopy leaves blocking. This all these circumstances, right? Okay, tell us that it was a difficult time. He was not comfortable here, right? Another thing which we can figure out that he perhaps feels at this point, right? Okay, threatened. Why? Because the sounds, you know, calling to each other was strange melodies, right? Okay, and rather than caused by wind, this creates sort of suspicion, right? Okay, so that's why we can say that he was uncomfortable and he felt threatened. These two things I can figure out over here, right? Now it says that the question to says that what is he thinking, right? So you can say that he's thinking that he has made a bad decision. Why? Because he feels quite uncomfortable and threatened, right? If you write over here, he feels uncomfortable and threatened, right? That would be the feeling, but not exactly his thought. But based on his feelings, right, we can figure out what he might be thinking because they haven't written here. Yes, this is a mistake. It seems like he's regretting his decision. If you look at the circumstances here, right, we understand that of course he's not comfortable here. He feels threatened, so that means he is regretting his decision. So what you really need to do for this sort of question, that you have to keep the context in mind, and you need to look for the clues, right, the key happenings, and then you need to, based on that, you need to figure out what could be the thing, right? uh, of course, this is the key thing here. It's a mistake. Why it's a mistake? He's feeling threatening. He's having tough time, right? And of course, he's not comfortable in the environment as well, right? I believe you have understood that. थोड़ा सा मैं उर्दू में भी बता दूं, जिस तरह के ये क्वेश्चंस होते हैं, राइट, दे आर कॉल्ड इन्फ्लुएंशियल क्वेश्चंस। व्हाई? क्योंकि उसने ये कहा है कि दिस इज अ मिस्टेक एंड नाउ यू नीड टू फिगर आउट योरसेल्फ व्हाई इज इट अ मिस्टेक। कहीं लिखा हुआ नहीं है, राइट, कि क्यों वो ये समझ रहा है कि ये मिस्टेक है, और उस बारे में क्या सोच रहा है, व्हाट इज ही थिंकिंग अबाउट, राइट, व्हाट गोज इन हिज माइंड। इट्स नॉट रिटन हियर। ही सिंपली दे सिंपल सेंटेंस डायलॉग, right, okay, about from him that this is a mistake. He says this is a mistake. Now, what is he thinking? If it's a mistake, must be regretting. What is he regretting? किस चीज को regret कर रहा है? Right? He is regretting his decision. राइट, अपने फैसले को, यहाँ आने के फैसले को रिग्रेट कर रहा है। हमें पता चल रहा है कि टर्निंग बैक भी कोई नहीं है, मिस्टेक भी वो कह रहा है, कंफर्टेबल भी नहीं है, ठीक है, अनकंफर्टेबल है, और ऑफ कोर्स थ्रेटन भी है। right? So all these clues you have to get up this way. Okay, now let's go ahead. Let me remove the marking, please, here. In paragraph 3, how does Sam feel about walking on the forest path? Give two details from the text to support your answer. Now, this is the question based on paragraph 3, right? So you don't need to read paragraph 2 about that. Focus on paragraph 3 just. With the deep breath, sorry for the slip, he stepped onto the path and immediately felt the difference beneath his feet. The soft, uneven ground contrasted sharply with the concrete sidewalks he was accustomed to. Now, this is important, right? So there is a contrast here. Every step required attention. This is another important word. Sam found himself constantly looking down, afraid of tripping over exposed roots or loose stones. The path twisted before him, occasionally disappearing entirely. Now, it's pretty much clear that he is going through something he's not used to. So that means, again, he's uncomfortable. Now, here comes the point of feeling, right? It's not about this question is not about what is he thinking, it's about how he feels. Now, here in the previous paragraph, the question was about what was he thinking, but of course, we had to focus on what was happening to him and how was he feeling, right? Because that this realization that this is a mistake is based on that. So that's why at that time also I drew your attention first towards the feelings and then I answered this one. But here it's pretty straight. You're asking about the feelings, right? Okay, or about walking on the forest path. So this is also very important. It's not a feeling in general. It's related to when he's walking on the forest path, right? So one thing about the walking is that he's not accustomed to, right? Walking on such path, right? Every step required attention, right? So he needs to be careful, right? The path twisted before him, occasionally disappearing entirely, forcing him to pause and search for markers on trees. He felt uncomfortably aware of his own breathing, louder now in relative silence of the forest. So this must have disturbed him. So he was uncomfortable and anxious, right? These are his feelings, right? So first you have to figure out the feelings, right? So feeling is uncomfortable and anxious, right? And then you have to take out two details, right, which support these feelings. Now, what are those? Which retail supports the feeling of being uncomfortable? It is this one, right? That every step required attention, and he was not accustomed to, right? And which detail supports that he was anxious, that he's aware of his own breathing, louder now in relative silence of the forest. So you need to identify the details, and you need to figure out what is the feeling or what are the feelings, right? Keep that thing in mind. This is a 3-mark question, right? 2 marks are for the details, right? And 1 mark is for the feeling, right? Have you understood that? दोबारा मैं उर्दू में थोड़ा सा बता दूं कि यहाँ पर आपको देखना है कि उसकी फीलिंग्स क्या है। फीलिंग्स जो भी उसकी होंगी वो किससे रिलेटेड होंगी, अबाउट वॉकिंग ऑन द फॉरेस्ट पाथ। और उसके लिए आपने डिटेल्स ढूंढनी है। डिटेल की बेस पे आप डिसाइड करोगे कि व्हाट ही वाज फीलिंग दैट पॉइंट, राइट एट दैट पॉइंट। फॉर एग्जांपल यहाँ पे हमें नजर आ रहा है कि उसको आदत नहीं थी, वो कॉन्क्रीट साइडवॉक्स पे वॉक करता था, उसको अटेंशन पे करनी पड़ रही थी। तो यू कैन पिक any of these details, right? Okay, to support that he was uncomfortable. यहाँ में नजर आ रहा है he felt uncomfortably aware of his own breathing louder in the relative silence of the forest. So of course इससे क्या हुआ होगा, वो थोड़ा सा anxious feel कर रहा होगा क्योंकि this doesn't happen normally in cities and all that, right? So this shows his anxiousness. Then so you can lift this detail, you can lift this detail, and you have to identify the feelings. I hope, guys, you have understood everything. If you have any issue, you can write in the feedback. Thank you. Take care of yourself.